Hello everyone, it's Rich here and welcome to episode 5, the penultimate episode of the Retrorectionist Series 1. Yes, you heard that right, it's a British show, so that's 6 episodes a series. None of that 24 episodes a season, American work ethic here, thank you very much. Anyway, today on the slab we've got Toggle Switch and FrankenGFX Project Blue, a brand new platformer for the NES in which a biological experiment escapes laboratory confinement, wreaking havoc on its creators. Sounds like a lot of fun, so without further ado, let's get into it. Roll credits. Over the years, there have been a number of iconic laboratory escape scenes in pop culture. In fact, the trope has been a staple of the sci-fi genre since Frankenstein's monster was shuffled off the operating table and into the local village, and I like to think of Hearts as well. So since then, we've been treated to a smorgasbord of inventive and at times explosive facility escape scenes. Tetsuma Shima's migraine-inducing march to freedom in Akira, Charlie McGee's hot-tempered exit from the shop in Firestarter, and who could forget Wolverine pure raging in his pants at the Weapon X facility. Today's game is in a new entry in that grand tradition. In Project Blue, you play as a street urchin known only as Blue, who has been plucked from the cyberpunk streets of Neo Hong Kong and subjected to all manner of experiments by the multifaceted, bureaucratic, and all-round uncaring organisation Omnicorp. Unfortunately for the evil multinational, one of the side effects of those experiments is that Blue is now capable of shooting bolts of bioenergy from his wrists. He uses his newfound talent to escape his cryo chamber and start blasting his way across Neo Hong Kong and towards the shadowy figure who runs Omnicorp, ominously referred to as the Executive. Project Blue is a collaborative project between Donnie Phillips, aka Toggle Switch, who handled the programming and music, talented, while the immensely intricate graphics were provided by Ellen Larson, aka FrankenGFX, with both contributing towards the level design. Initially funded and released through Kickstarter in October 2019, Project Blue is now available as either a digital download from itch.io or as a physical release courtesy of the super classy Broke Studio. The digital release comes with a heap of awesome extras including a level editor, soundtrack, and even a cool gender swap version of the game so you can play as a girl rather than a boy. Very progressive. Now, it's almost a moot point at this stage, but the care and attention given to the physical release is exceptional. The artwork which adorns the box and instruction manual provided by MT Graphics not only fleshes out the characters and the story, but also goes some way to flavouring the whole experience. The artwork is handily abetted in this endeavour by the amusing prose which accompanies it within the manual. Now, I'm not going to sink to a new low by reading the instruction manual out loud, but I will tell you that I found myself thinking about Paul Verhoeven's 1987 satirical, ultra-violent science fiction classic, Robocop, a lot during my time with Project Blue, and that process really started long before the cart was in the system, so that may give you a little bit of an idea of what it's like. Alright, that's enough talk of packaging and materialism and that kind of stuff. Let's give Project Blue a go. The controls are exactly what you'd expect. The D-pad moves you about the screen, you use the B button to jump and the A to fire. And while this is pretty simple to grasp, mastery is what you're going to need once you get to the later stages. Now, I actually lack the knowledge base to fully explain what I'm about to attempt to explain, but I'll do my best and hopefully you can figure out what I mean. Approach this as a sort of interactive portion of the show rather than what it is, someone who lacks the cognitive ability to explain what he's experienced. Despite Blue's diminutive size, he actually feels quite weighty, like a little stone. It's kind of the opposite of Donnie in Haunted Halloween 85, who I felt seemed quite light and airy. This is going really well so far. Anyway, the game's representation of gravity and momentum have a very real and tangible impact on the gaming experience. For example, Blue, who has a decent jump on him to begin with, can leap even higher when he takes a short run up first. It also had this really weird real world impact, as I found myself pressing the buttons much harder than I usually would when playing a game. I don't know if that's a game thing, that might be more of a me thing. None of this is in any way a criticism of Project Blue. The controls feel great, it's just one of the ways in which you'll be rewarded for spending more time familiarising yourself with the title. The more accustomed you become to Blue's simulation of physics, the easier you'll find it to judge jump distances and identify which locations can be reached and which ones can't. Thank God that bit's over. Let's talk about health and power-ups. I feel much more comfortable doing that. You'll notice when you start the game that you have 2 hearts out of a potential 5. You can increase your health by collecting little IV packs that are dotted around various screens. Furthermore, you can increase your maximum health by picking up larger IV packs which are hidden throughout the game. Increasing your maximum health is highly recommended, as there's a good chance you're going to need that advantage when you reach the later stages. The game gives you infinite continues, which is nice, but you should be aware that if you use a continue, you'll be back to a 5 heart health meter. That makes it all the more important for you to do your best to pick up the credits that are strewn throughout the game, as collecting 100 of these will give you an extra life. The other power up to look out for is the energy boost, which will double the damage you can inflict upon adversaries who stray into your path. Word to the wise though, the energy boost is finite, giving you 20 supercharged shots before you're back to your regular weapon. Now this isn't a problem as such, but I did find myself wishing that rather than just splurging the energy boost on the first 10 or so enemies I came across randomly, I could use it a little bit more strategically, maybe by switching back and forth between it and the regular shot. But in the words of Mick Jagger, you can't always get what you want, so let's move on. He didn't say the "so let's move on," but I added that in. He said you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes you might get what you need. I'm regretting using the Mick Jagger reference now. It's not relevant to gaming, is it? Or is it? The obstacles hindering Blue from reaching his goal are threefold. You've got environmental obstacles, enemies and bosses. Let's start with the environmental. Turns out that Omnicorp are tough on security, lax on health and safety, meaning that you're going to face a myriad of environmental hazards as you traverse the game's 4 massive levels. This includes chemical vats, dripping acid, energy gates, falling debris, faulty wiring, mines, defensive orbs, exposed rebar, and everyone's favourite form of home security, mobile circular saws. Thankfully, the substantial selection is introduced gradually throughout the game, meaning no sooner will you have mastered how not to get your face burnt off by acid, than you'll be figuring out how not to accidentally impale yourself on exposed rebar. It kind of reminds me of when I was younger and I used to play around on abandoned construction sites. Did anyone else used to do that? Is that a thing? I don't know. Anyway, it's not just the landscape of Project Blue you'll have to worry about, you'll also have a host of hostile enemy combatants to keep you on your toes. On your adventure, you'll come across a range including MK1s that patrol, MK2s that patrol and shoot, MK3s that patrol and are invulnerable to damage, hoppers which hop about, and watchers which pursue you around the screen. All present their own unique challenges, and the game imaginatively employs them together to ensure battles never become stale or routine. There is one enemy, however, that I found more than a little vexing, and it's this little green goo guy. He seems harmless enough, but get too close and he will go absolutely mental. He's small with a high jump, which means timing your shots is something of an art form, one which truthfully I never really mastered. Worse still, when I consulted the manual to see if there were any tips on how to deal with him, it turned out these green globs of goo were once other kids in the Omnicorp program who couldn't hack the old genetic experiments. Very unsettling stuff. As for the bosses, there are 4 in the game, and you'll face each of them twice, with the second encounter seeing them amped up with new abilities and attacks. As for the challenge they present, this won't be the first NES game where early run-ins make the bosses seem near impossible, only for subsequent encounters to reveal attack patterns and weaknesses. Personally, I've always enjoyed this particular style of play because every death and successive attempt feels like it contributes to your eventual victory. That said, on the final level I expended so much health and life reaching the boss that the fleeting encounters I had with him only to be sent right back to the start when I had to use a continue did become more than a little frustrating. A great side effect of this repetition, however, is how quickly you'll master individual screens and levels. In my initial playthrough of the game, it felt like ages till I reached the first boss, but by the time I was finishing capturing footage for this review, I was able to sail through levels 1 and 2 in no time at all, taking next to no damage, which made me feel like a big strong man. The game consists of 4 main areas: the laboratory, the D-Zone, the underground and Omnicorp headquarters. This might sound a little small, but the truth is just the opposite. There are over 250 screens in the game, and each area presents its own challenges and mechanics to keep you engaged. For example, the D-Zone introduces springs, rotor caps and parachutes, while the Underground has an underwater swimming section. Insert obligatory mention of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles dam level here. When we were younger, this was really hard. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that Project Blue has variety and a sense of scale. The inclusion of occasional detours, alternative routes and secret areas all contributes to this, as well as adding to the game's replayability. Let's talk a little bit about graphics and music. As you've probably seen by now, assuming I've included gameplay footage in this review, be a bit strange if I hadn't, Project Blue is undeniably a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk 8-bit thing of beauty. From the detailed foregrounds, resplendent with crumbling brickwork and elaborate tile patterns, to the shadowy backgrounds where giant machinery juts from untold murky depths, the whole thing has a sense of scale, mood and grandeur, and it's hard to be anything but impressed by the aesthetic world the development team have conjured up. The sprites are diminutive in size, but big on detail, and exude character, which is a bit ironic when you consider the vast majority of them are robots. The whole thing reminds me of one of those really impressive pieces of Pinhead art. I don't mean fan art based on the Clive Barker character Pinhead. I mean those detailed paintings, what people paint on the heads of a pin. Although I'm sure there's loads of great Pinhead fan art as well. As for the music, there are over 22 tracks on the score, which is pretty impressive for the NES. As you'd expect with a soundtrack of that scale, some tunes are more memorable than others, and for me the standout tracks are the Project Blue theme and Theta Lab, both of which evoke a sense of melancholia and drama rather than just getting the old blood pumping. I really could go on about Project Blue, but I think we'll leave it there. If you want a game that's tough but mostly fair, with evocative music and impressive graphics that seemingly takes its pop cultural cues from the likes of a Robocop, Akira, Firestar and Weapon X, and let's be honest, who doesn't want a game like that, then this one is maybe for you. Perhaps the most striking thing about Project Blue though is that it feels simultaneously complete, but also with so much potential for expansion, and this is certainly one I'll be keeping an eye out for a sequel to. Yeah, review done, I guess. I don't know what to say at the end. Review done. Make the colour thing happen. Okay, so before we finish up today, I just wanted to mention something that I thought might be worth your while checking out. I hope that's okay. Nobody's paid me to do this, by the way, just to put your mind at ease. But recently I picked up a copy of a magazine called CoolSh Magazine, which is actually a physical copy, which is always nice, which in short is full of cool things. It covers a range of topics including movies, music, wrestling, toys, games, that kind of thing. But the neatest thing about the magazine, as far as I'm concerned, is that it's paying attention to the homebrew scene, and the most recent issue even includes an amazing section on what's coming out and when. So if you're like me and you can't keep up, you won't miss out. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description. It's well worth checking out. So yeah, that's us. That's the episode for today. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. I really do appreciate it. So there's nothing really left to do but to say love you guys and hasta mañana.
Think about me one more time before you go. Someday you'll know. Someday you'll know. You already know what I'm going to say. I've been feeling this way for far too long.